Okay, we're welcome to the work session of the Hamilton City Board of Education, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Holbrook.
Good evening. We have two items on the agenda this evening for our work session. The first is, as gone with the last several board meetings, we've tried to introduce employees that are either new to the district or have new positions for next year. And tonight we have with us is Dustin Monday. Dustin has been a math teacher at the high school and for the last several years served as a technology coach in the technology department. Due to need and probably my inadequacy with social media, we certainly need Dustin, and he has transitioned into our director of technology and social media, and that job's going to encumber quite a bit of work, not only on the social media side with our websites and our Twitter handles and things of that nature, but also working with our vendors with various contracts. And so, Dustin, if you want to stand up and say a few things, you are now on the clock.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Holbrook. I appreciate it. And thank you, members of the board, for this opportunity. As Mr. Holbrook alluded to, I've spent my entire educational career in Hamilton City Schools, and I could not be happier to have this opportunity to work alongside Tricia and the instructional team and the rest of leadership here. And I'm super excited for all the things that we have going on. We got a lot of moving pieces right now, but I'm super excited, and I can't wait to continue working alongside of them and continue to move us forward. Not just from a technological perspective, but just continue to move us forward for all of our students' well-being. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
To give you a perspective, is that we have roughly 9,000 student Chromebooks out in circulation. We had virtual learning with over 2,000 students, and we had one technology director. And you know, Tricia, you do a really nice job, but that is a ton to put on one person's plate. And so that added support is just going to help us continue to grow and be proactive with technology, which we know is going to just continue to expand. And we don't know what that's going to look like even 3 to 5 years from now. Secondly, tonight, we have the pleasure of having with us our Athletic Director, Missy Harvey, and Assistant Athletic Director, Nate Mahan, and they are here to give an update on Hamilton City School athletics for the 2020-2021 school year. Missy and Nate, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Better drop this a little. Just a little. Well, good evening. I'm Missy Harvey. This is Nate Mahan, my assistant. I just want to take a minute. Never in a million years did I think I would probably be standing here. I'll just say it. I'm born and raised here. This was kind of where I got all my memories and everything, and I could have retired a teacher. This position kind of came about for all the wrong reasons, I guess, or maybe the right reasons. It was kind of the stars that kind of aligned that gave me this opportunity. But truly, Mr. Holbrook, Mr. Wright, and Mr. Pate, I know that you guys have been super supportive of me coming into this job. The board, thank you for approving the recommendation of me. You're going to get everything I have. I truly believe in this department. I truly believe in the athletic department. I believe in Hamilton. And I just had a coaches meeting the other day, and I told our coaches that we want our athletic department to mirror what's going on in the city of Hamilton. And the city of Hamilton is growing exponentially. And the positive things that are happening there, we as an athletic department, as a school district, we have to take advantage of that, and we have to kind of merge ahead in the same way that our city is. I could not be more proud to be standing up here today. 2021 was an interesting year. I think COVID kind of got a lot of us. There were a lot of great things that came out of it, which is what we're going to highlight. But I truly want to say thank you to our coaches as well, who kind of survived COVID. It was a challenge for them, being masked, and are we going to practice, and do we have to go into quarantine, and are we going to play tonight, or is that team going to be in quarantine? There were so many what ifs until we got to the spring, and I think finally when we got to the spring and our spring sports could kind of get settled in, and I know I was a little more settled in, I think that we're starting to see some of the changes that are going to take place, and I just look forward to bringing some new positivity to the department, and I hope that over the next few years you guys see the same thing. So that's our athletic department. Obviously, I'm born and raised here, so is Nate. Jamie Cox, I'm going to tell you, she's our hidden gem. Nobody's poaching her, by the way. She is mine. She truly, her athletic background is tremendous. So what she brings to our department really does help the team kind of finalize where we're at. And I do call ourselves a team. I believe that all three of us in there have to kind of do our part. We've added Mike Dole as our freshman as assistant as well. So for us, you're never just going to see the face of one of us. It's going to be all of us, because we truly do believe that it takes all of us to kind of get this department where it needs to be. Some of our GMC awards this year that we had 2 coaches of the year. Nick Arvin in bowling for girls bowling, and we had Coach Steve Heckman from softball. 2 coaches of the year for us. That's a tremendous success. We also had 3 players of the year, Madison Deathridge, Curtis Reed, Keyshawn Stevens, so 1 from each season. Those players of the year are voted on by the coaches. And that's a true honor for those 3 guys and for the 2 head coaches. It lets you know that they have the respect of, the GMC behind them. And I think that the GMC is starting to see a little bit more power and strength coming out of Hamilton. And I think that some of these are a true reflection of that. Our girls bowling team was a GMC conference champion. First time that we've had one in years. It is proudly displayed. That trophy is proudly displayed in our office. So as soon as you walk in, you see that displayed there. We're hoping that it becomes a little bit more contagious and that we get some more teams to get on board so that we can line those kind of up down our shelves. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. And I don't want to give that one up next year. Whoever wins it gets to keep it. So I've already told Nick that he has to kind of keep that. They also made it to the regional finals and were a couple pins away from making it to state. Our girls bowling team has been a tremendous, they're a positive influence in our building. And I had the privilege of watching them at districts and all that. They represent our school tremendously. So this honor for them is very well deserved. All-Academic Selections, and I can say that for me, when I started kind of going through the numbers, you never know where they're going to fall. And these academic selections, you have to have a 3.3 GPA varsity sport, but if you start looking at these numbers, we had over 50% 2 of the 3 seasons and finished over 50% for the year of our varsity athletes gaining an all-academic selection. We're doing the work in the classroom. This, to me, is probably one of the best slides that I can put up here tonight. When I look at these numbers of our varsity athletes who are doing it right in the classroom and they're doing it right on the court or on the floor or on the field. So this, to me, when I started doing the math, and I made Jamie double check me multiple times before I put this up here so that I didn't screw it up. But this, when I look at this, if we can get our academics and our, and that sporting side of it together, definitely the GMC is going to start having to deal with Hamilton a lot more, going to start being a lot more successful. I'm going to turn it over to Nate. He and I kind of split this out a little bit, and he's just going to talk about each season.
Thank you, Missy. Just wanted to reiterate a couple of things that Missy said in the beginning. Number one, I want to give her kudos. It's been a lot of fun working with her. I know she brings a completely different perspective that maybe we haven't had. So she highlights all of the sports, and she's thinking about things in a different mindset, and I appreciate that. The second part is that she said there is no better time than to be in Hamilton. I think we've had multiple meetings with parents. We've had multiple meetings with other personnel over the last couple weeks and months. And there's no better feeling than to sit down with those parents and those people and say, we are from Hamilton, we are from here as well, and this is how we feel, this is our perspective. And I think that right there gives you leveraging power right there. So it's a very exciting time. There is no better time to be here and be a part of our city. And we bleed blue, so we can sit and have tough conversations and talk about our experience here and our time here, both as a coach and player. And I think that's powerful. So I want to just reiterate that. Fall highlights. We had 292 student athletes compete for Big Blue this fall, which is going through the numbers and sharing the facts. I thought that was a large number. I think you kind of forget about that, but 292 is a lot of student athletes that represent us, right? 11 student athletes are in first team All-GMC. 10 student athletes are in second team All-GMC. Hannah Sawyer, who's going to St. Louis for soccer, was All-State in women's soccer. and I will brag on Keyshawn Stevens, our only GMC Offensive Player of the Year that we've ever had. So, very awesome. He is also the career record holder at Hamilton High School for all-time scoring, career touchdowns, and career all-purpose yards, all done this year. So, fall highlights. A couple of team highlights. Boys golf, Braden Hubbard was the district qualifier, 38.2 scoring average on the year. And if you've seen Braden, he's not a very large man, and he hits the snot out of it. So he was fun to watch. It's a different sport. So girls soccer, again, Hannah Sawyer, we mentioned, became the all-time career goals and points leader for Big Blue, breaking both records this year as a senior. And pretty awesome when they win a playoff game against Kings, blanking them in the first round. That was fun to watch as well. Football team finished with a 6-4 record. Finished with the highest playoff seed we've had since 1997. Hosted the first playoff game in school history. That didn't go as according to plan, but it was fun to host the first playoff game ever. Back-to-back seasons for the first time in school history going to the playoffs, and we plan to make it a third. Winter highlights. 146 student athletes competed for the Big Blue this winter. 5 student athletes earned first team All-GMC. 5 student athletes earned second team All-GMC. And again, as mentioned before, our GMC Bowler of the Year and GMC Coach of the Year. Those two, again, Bowler of the Year, Madison Deathridge, and the GMC Coach of the Year, Nick Arvin, which we talked about the GMC Championship. Bouncing to the spring, 148 student athletes competed for us this year. 6 student athletes, first team All-GMC, another 5 on second team and third team. And then 1 GMC Player of the Year and another GMC Co-Coach of the Year. The Player of the Year was Curtis Reed. He played shortstop for us. He's a 4-year, I'll give him the COVID year. He's a 4-year starter. Batted .435 on the year, good enough for second in the GMC. And 3-time first team All-GMC. Again, given the COVID year, probably would have been a 4th. So that's fair to say. Pretty awesome recognition for Coach Heckman, our softball coach who's been around here for a long time. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. He was the co-coach. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's the personal one. Co-coach of the year, again, Coach Heckman, and he also reached 400 career victories at Middletown. I think it was May 7th. That's what it says. So again, 400 career victories against Middletown. It's also, I think it's worth mentioning, so many times in the Coach of the Year voting, it usually goes to the team that won the league, and that wasn't the case. I think that just bodes the respect and the amount of respect that he gets from his other coaches, which is pretty awesome. And my sister's got to play for Steve. I got to cheer for him a long time as a student. So pretty cool to see a lot of personal connection in the athletic department with Coach Heckman. So happy that he's one of ours. Spring highlights continue here. The boys track team, this kind of came on late, so we had a late addition to the PowerPoint. But 100 meters Connerly and 200 meters with Caleb Johnson, both football players as well, which is cool. And then state bound, the 4x1 team did make state. They finished 11th overall, but we did beat a team in red. And Chris Connerly, Caleb Johnson, Samaje Aldridge, and Zane Taylor round out your 4x1, and Coach Mike Dole and Coach Casey Kinser leading the track team and the 4x1 team. Just some additional athletic program highlights that we've done, whether they've been new or just things that we've continued. So Wings on Brookwood has been a great relationship and sponsor for our Student Athletes of the Week. I apologize for the district from bombarding them with those weekly, but the cool thing has been the response from our teachers that'll say, I had XYZ student in first grade, tell her congrats. That happened every week. So that was really, really cool. So we nominate in the department and then select Student Athletes of the Week, usually 2, sometimes more, but 2 Student Athletes of the Week sponsored by Wings on Brookwood, and best wings around for certain. So next we had 3 different athletic signing days, and 18 student athletes this year will continue their academic and athletic endeavors and careers moving forward. Go down through all the lists, but that is the list of 18. You've got a wide variety from different sports covering football, men's volleyball, obviously baseball, women's soccer, a lot of different, men's basketball, a lot of different sports are up there. And again, 18 different student athletes on 3 different signing days that are choosing to continue their athletic and academic careers at the higher level. Just some other things of note that have happened in the department this year with scholarship winners. Kettering Health sponsors 5 different $1,000 scholarships. Hannah Baker, Madison Deathridge, Darian Bowling, Samantha McWhorter, Brianna Horseshoe were all recipients of the Kettering Health Scholarships. And then in addition, there are Ohio High School Athletic Association scholarships that went out, the Archie Griffin Sportsmanship Award, OSHA Courageous Student Award, NFHS Award of Excellence, and the OSHA Scholar Athlete Award. Again, those were given to the names up there: Carmela Montgomery, Akira Watkins, Dylan Robinson, Dylan Lee, and McCaden Stevens. Just two special awards this year. One that hits close to home. My cousin Dylan did receive the Anthony Munoz Scholarship for the Male Student of the Year. And then the Tim Reed Legacy Fund Scholarship went to Jacob Harmon, Darian Bowling, Connor Smith. Coach Reed was a coach and longtime icon of our school district. So Legacy Fund Scholarship in his name. In addition, during the fall, we did have OSHA come in with a Spectrum Student Spotlight. So one of our football games was televised on Spectrum. In addition, we do nominate and select a scholarship winner during that game, and it was nominated and selected as Jordan, representing football, and then Hannah Baker, who represents cheerleading and women's golf. So they were actually recognized on a short commercial on Spectrum during the night of the Hamilton-Fairfield football game. Back to you. Yeah.
Back to me. So we're blessed to have Elite, the training facility there. We're going on year three with that. We totally take advantage of their services to us. It is a great benefit to our coaches to be able to have trainers come in and work with sports-specific, weightlifting and weight training and conditioning activities. It kind of a little bit off of our coaches, and these guys obviously have the expertise in it. And so for us, that partnership continues. It is one that I am going to continue to push for because I do believe that it is the one area that we can improve in our district. And so for me, the weight room and all of that partnership, I've met with Danny Moorhead multiple times just to try and get him a little bit more. We just got to be a little bit more pushy to get more of our athletes in there on a daily basis so that we're getting the maximum benefit of what they have to offer for us. We have youth and community camps. I will tell you, this summer we have 10 of our sports teams that are hosting youth camps. Two that I kind of just want to highlight because to me these were kind of special. Our boys basketball coach, Kevin Higgins, and our cheerleading coaches from the high school and the middle school, they hosted 2 free clinics to our elementary kids. That was something they did not have to do. They went above and beyond. And I know that Coach Higgins, I believe he had 4 of them, and I think for 50 kids at each one. I know the cheerleading one, I think they had about 52 kids on the 2 nights they had. I happened to poke my head into both of them and have conversations with parents who thought that this was what an awesome thing this was, that we're offering something for free. Coming out of COVID, we all know that money is tight. So this is something that I think when you go over and above like that, people do notice it. It was noticed by me, and I'm super proud and super impressed that these 2 coaches kind of stepped up a little bit. Our girls basketball coach, Harry Phillips, is actually having another one this Saturday. We've put it out all over Twitter, like all over Final Forums to get those there. I think any time that we can do things for free and we can get our elementary students in there is a benefit to us in the future. Our athletes need to be role models, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it. And I think when coaches set stuff like this up, our athletes kind of have that moment to shine, and they have no idea the impact they have on those elementary kids. It truly does mean a lot to them when they get to walk into those gyms and when they walk into those facilities and are greeted by Hamilton Big Blue players. So that's something that I'm pretty proud of. Our sponsorships, Raising Cane's is coming into Hamilton. They have graciously offered to sponsor our press box meals for football this fall. We're hoping that we can continue to get them to do that for basketball for part of our hospitality. That's something when it opens in a few weeks, I think it's June 29th, it will have Hamilton decor in it. We have donated uniforms, so it will be kind of specific to us, which is kind of a nice thing that Cane's does for their local schools. They've also offered to purchase some shirts for our winter athletes. They really do want to become involved in our community, and trust me, I'm going to keep going after them because I think that we need that kind of support to kind of help us out. McDonald's is always a great one. Our group is doing shirts for our athletes for the fall. Wings on Brookwood does our student athletes of the week. Kettering Health is with for our training. We're not so sure about where Spooky Nook is going to fit, but we're going to keep finding out. I'm hoping big things can come from them. We have a meeting with them on the 14th, on Monday evening, to kind of get an update on kind of where it's at. I have not had I've not been fortunate enough to meet them yet, so this will kind of be my first introduction with them. And obviously Chatterbox Sports, thank them through COVID because they allowed people to watch games when we could only have family there. So Chatterbox Sports has been great for us. Just some of the future plans, kind of when you think about where you kind of want to continue to focus, we have some tremendous youth programs. They're getting better. COVID, I think, kind of slowed things down, but I know that they want to get back rolling. And I think our parents want our athletes, our younger athletes, in stuff too. Our elementary volleyball program tripled in size this year. She just is having a camp right now, and she has 92 girls attending youth volleyball. That says a lot about Lindsay Maloney. We have our Saints football. We have our Little Blue football. Our elementary intramurals, they actually have about 50 kids per school that participate in these. It is my goal to get our high school athletes into those intramural events a little bit more to, again, be that positive influence and that positive force, kind of guiding some of those sports. But our elementary intramural coordinators do a fantastic job of getting those people out there to support their elementaries. And we just got to keep kind of feeding on that to get them in the middle school and the high school. For me, kind of looking ahead, I'm all about community relationships. I believe that they kind of can guide our school. If we get the community behind us, only great things can happen. If they're in the stands and they're rooting us on, it's just going to be a positive force. My goal is to be accountable, accessible, I'm going to be visible, and I'm interactive with all sports. You're going to see me at everything. And I kind of said that, and you know, people are like, you can't do that. Yes, I can. I have to be the face of this department, and I want all of our parents, I want all of our athletes, I want our coaches to know how invested I am in this department, and I want it to become contagious. So I am going to be that person. I want to increase our numbers. I think that's just a doable thing, one day at a time. We need to kind of work on our weight room a little bit. There's some space at the freshman campus where we have, I just think that there's potential to turn that into more of a female-guided weight room. And I've got some things kind of going with that. I've been kind of working with some people to work on that, so I'm hoping that that's something we can come up with over the next few years. Bridging that gap between middle school and high school, I think, is crucial. I think that it's something that, unfortunately, we've just kind of lost that guide. Mike Dole, who I've brought in as my, kind of the old me, is what I call him, he is going to really serve as that purpose. I've kind of reformatted that whole job, and he really is going to be the liaison between the middle school and myself to try and make sure that we're all on the same page and that we're all kind of, we all have the same, because if we all have different visions, it's really tough to get everybody on the same page. So moving forward, we're hoping that in the next few years we see that consistency and it continues to make bigger things at the high school. There's a doggy bag health snack option that I'm trying to bring to fruition. I think this is truly important for our athletes. We're going to take an office back in the gym. We're going to house it with all kinds of healthy snacks. So when our athletes get out of school every day and they've got to jump on a bus to go somewhere, or they've got a practice they've got to get to and maybe they missed lunch or they didn't have time to pack something, we're going to have some healthy options back there that they can just come back and get. It won't be a charge. They will be free of charge to them. It could be protein bars. It could be fruit. It could be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. This is one of the big things that I just think, again, letting our student athletes know how important they are to us and that we're going to go above and beyond for them because we want what's best for them. We're going to complete some press box renovations. I think that you guys probably already know about that. The new softball scoreboard is going to be tremendous. And I talk real quick about Coach Heckman. I was there when he won the 400th in the rain. Jamie Cobb found a royal blue bat to put the 400th win on it. Obviously, it couldn't have the date because we don't have our own personal engraver, but he did get that. My background with Steve, I coached with Steve. I have known Steve pretty much my whole coaching career. That moment when he got that victory, it really did kind of hit home the commitment that he has had to our district for a very long time, and that's kind of what I want our coaches to be about. I want them to be committed and just dedicated, I don't think he could have been more proud, and I don't think that his girls could have been more proud that they were a part of that night. Long-term considerations, and obviously these are just pipe dreams, but you have to have them. If you don't have them, they never can happen. We need more space, and I know that sounds really weird. Our programs need more off-season space, and that can be offered in some sort of multi-purpose facility. It just needs to be an area where they can go in the off-season and have that ability to train, so we don't have kids out at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night trying to squeeze in time at different gyms that we have. So that's just something kind of long-term that I'm thinking of, and I just think it would be a true benefit to our district. And with that, we are finished. So any questions? Any comments?
Thank you. I think you two, and with Mike Dole, another Hamilton guy, it's a great team you put together here. And on Steve Heckman, of course, Todd's coached with him over the years. It was great that Todd got to be with him when he coached. And what a terrific guy. I mean, what people don't realize is that field down there for the softball, he pretty much built that. I mean, he takes care of that field and manicures it to no end. And
It is the best field in the state. I'll say it. And I truly believe that. I would try and find another high school that could have that softball field. It truly is.
he's very dedicated, like Nate and so many of these other coaches, and you guys are going in the right direction. This is really great to hear. Thank you. So,
Missy, I'd like to add my congratulations on you having this position.
Thank you.
I was sitting here thinking, I remember George Washington Junior High School and in the old stinky gym we had down there, and you were making an impact on students' lives then. You went through being a teacher and a coach, now you're at this position, so you're continually making impacts on our students' lives, and there's nothing better than that.
Thank you.
And I totally understand that. So great job on this. I looked at what you did this season, what happened this season, and our students still excelled as athletes, even though they went through, I'm
was
not
a lot.
allowed to say it on the air, but they went through a lot this year. And not knowing, I can't imagine a kid preparing for a game and not knowing if it's going to take place until a couple hours before. I mean, and it's hard on all the coaches. But what you're doing with what they did this year, and the other thing that really hit me with your presentation is that so often we've had silos of sports. Middle school, the kids are doing intramural down here, then they move on to this, and they're all in silos instead of saying, okay, let's go down and grab these kids and bring them up, let them see the high school athletes, let's have those camps. That is the way to run a successful program, and you're going to run into success. We're not going to lose kids, in sports or fine arts and all these different things we have, unless we are having that continuum. You guys are doing it, and I'm just very proud. I don't know what we can do. Mike says he's got room in his garage for a off-season site. Is that true, Mike? But
I guess it is.
no, I'm excited about where we're going. I really am. I think our community deserves this, and I think I'm excited about where we're going as a district and a community. So
Thank
great
you.
job, great job.
you guys being from Hamilton, you've been through the system, you know what our students need, what their wants and their needs are. That's a big plus.
Yeah.
So again,
Thank
Great
you
job.
for your presentation, and I like the fact that you guys highlighted all of the sports. Sometimes certain sports get more shine than others, and get it, but I like the fact that, a lot of the, all of the sports were highlighted, because, all those kids, they work hard at what they do, and they're good at what they do, so they should definitely, be highlighted. They spend the time, the dedication, and the effort to be their parents, making pickup, drop-offs, and navigating through all of that. So thank you guys for continuing to highlight the sports. And Missy, cloning yourself is the key to being at all the games. Cloning yourself.
I'll figure out
Yes.
something. I'm telling you, I'm going to
That is
figure out
what you do.
something.
I'll let you borrow my machine.
Very impressive presentation tonight. You can tell Hamilton sports or athletics are in good hands with the two of you. And it's only going to grow stronger and stronger. I was impressed with what you showed with the student athletes in the classroom. Because academics come first, sports second, and I know that's what you believe. both of you.
100%.
And I'm very pleased with that, and to see how many students are going on and furthering their education because they got the opportunity to play sports in Hamilton, and it grew something for them so they could go on. So Hamilton sports are in very good hands right now with you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to take a moment and really reflect on, this was an extremely trying year. And as I sit and I listen to this presentation, the first thing I thought of, Nate, how many hours on the phone did you and I spend back in early August trying to determine whether or not you were going to be able to practice, how you're going to be able to practice, were we going to be able to do contact drills? When was that going to happen? And you know, we kind of figured it out. And as we went through this year, the leadership in the athletic program, we went through and we figured it out. And that's a compliment to this entire district, is given all of those trials and tribulations, we did figure it out. And the other piece on this is that we always talk about student athlete. That's very reflective. Over 50% of our kids earned an academic award for being a student athlete. That says something about the program. And it also reinforces something that I really believe in, is that education is more than what you do in the classroom. Those students, athletes that are participating on those teams are learning lifelong lessons outside the classroom, and many of those lessons are going to be things that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. And reaching down to the elementaries and building those programs all the way up, that is so critical to many kids. Every kid has a genre, every kid has an interest, you know, and athletics are for many of our kids a mechanism that we can use to improve and have them excel academically. And it's all about opportunity for students, not only when they're with us, but after they graduate. And if we've got exceptional athletes that get additional opportunities due to that talent, and they're doing the work in the classroom and we're reinforcing those things, that's what really this is all about. And I think as we move forward, I'm just really excited, not only about the team we've assembled, but some of the things that we're starting to see at the elementary and community level that's going to filtrate up eventually, and it's going to positively impact varsity sports at the high school level. That's the end result, but it starts in third grade, it starts in second grade, it starts in fifth grade, and we're seeing a recommitment and a revigoration of those programs at that level, and that's an exciting thing, and that's due to the leadership of the athletic program. So I look forward to seeing what we will continue to do to be successful in the future, and I know this board and myself are just excited to have both of you here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to take a few minute break and then go back into regular session in about 6:30. Thank you. of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now back into regular session, and we have need to do approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion,
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Isgro, Pastor Shack, sorry, second. Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Davidson.
Yes.
Mr. Isgro.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Sprague.
Yes. I don't see anyone from City Council here. Do we have a hearing of citizens? No hearing of citizens. Mr. Holbrook.
Good evening. One of the issues that I would like to address this evening is that I have been getting a number of correspondence asking about what type of COVID restrictions the school district will have for the beginning of the 21-22 school year. And what I would like to communicate is that at this point, we can't tell you exactly what those are going to look like. You know, do I think they're going to be relaxed from what we started last year with? I do. Do I know exactly what those are going to look like? I do not. You know, what I can assure everyone is that the information we use is directly from health professionals. It's from the CDC. It's from credible, reliable sources, as we have done the entire year. We take that data, we analyze it. We also have robust discussion, not only with our administrative team, but also with area districts. We collaborate on a very frequent basis with you know, surrounding districts, because you know, a lot of districts have a lot of commonalities with that. And so we will be making a decision on that probably in late July or early August on what that looks like. And a lot of it's going to depend on how things transpire from a community standpoint over the summer. But rest assured that medicine and data will drive those decisions, and that's where we're at this point. So I can't commit to anything right now, only because we don't know. If you would have asked me last June what things were going to look like in August, I would have had no idea of being accurate. And so I hesitate on even suggesting what that would look like until we actually know what is going on in August. But you know, vaccinations are obviously readily available. Those are becoming even more readily available to younger age children, and my understanding is that there may even be vaccinations ready for children all the way down to 5 years old at some point in the summer. I'm not sure when that will be, but even as recently as this morning, listening to some of the, and watching and reading some of the CDC recommendations, you know, unvaccinated folks, you know, it is recommended that they still continue to be masked, and that is how we are handling that over the summer months. That if you have not received the vaccination, we are recommending that you wear a mask. And so at this point, that is where we're at from our decision-making standpoint. And you know, this will be an ongoing discussion, especially through the month of July with our health commissioner, and not only the Hamilton City Health Commissioner, but we do also collaborate with Butler County as well as Middletown's health commissioner. And we have had some guidance from the University of Cincinnati and their medical professionals over the past year as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Holbrook.
Thank you.
We have a first reading.
Yes, you have a first reading on the Student Code of Conduct for next school year. There is no action required on this reading by the board. This is for information only. The recommendation and vote will take place at the June 24th board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
We also have a list of policies that is for a second read. They were presented at the last board meeting on May 27th, and I recommend that the board consider those for approval this evening.
Okay. I need a motion for approval on the board policies. This is the second reading. I
I'll
need a
make a motion.
Mrs. Matthews. Mr. Davidson is second. Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Davidson.
Yes.
Mr. Isgro.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Sprague.
Yes. Members, we've have a consent agenda. We've all reviewed this. I need a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion, sir.
I'll second.
Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
We have Human Resources Certified Staff Placement. I believe Mr. Davidson is excused from this.
He needs to abstain.
Okay, abstain from this. So I need a motion for this.
I'll make that motion too.
Mr. Isgrove and Mrs. Matthews. Mr. Hancock.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Abstain.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
And then we have another motion needed from Human Resources for termination of employment of a non-certified employee. I need a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Matthews,
Second.
Mr. Davidson, Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock.
Mr. President, I have, I believe, 7 items on the agenda for you tonight. We'd entertain any questions you might have about those. Quickly, they are an STRS pickup resolution. This brings things up to date for the administrators. Actually, these numbers go down in percentage in some cases, but we need to bring those up to date. Those things start August 1. The next one's ballot janitorial. Mr. Kilby came to me and asked, can we deal with ballot janitorial specifically? And our board policy wouldn't let us do that. We'd always have to go out for multiple quotes. Since we're going away from our current arrangement with the company we've been dealing with the inside management, they provided some of those resources for us and materials. So we need someone that can actually be really local, can give us good prices, which Valley Janitorial does. But the real benefit to Valley Janitorial, since they're here, they are a Hamilton business, that's a nice thing to have. But they can get the goods to us rather quickly, so we don't have to store a bunch of stuff, and that's a big benefit. And so we worked with the lawyers, asked what do we need to do, and they said, well, you need to pass this policy. Basically, it provides an exception, so we have no problem with audit. The 2022 Lane Public Library budget is up for your approval. This is just a ministerial thing. Dave will remember this from his time on the board, but it has to pass through our district, and then I'll file it for the library, and that gets them going for next year. They do have a representative here tonight if anybody has a question about that, but if you have no questions, that's fine too. Confirming requisition, bid tabulation. We did go through a bid tabulation last week for a maintenance facility over at the Wilson tennis courts. Those things came in quite a bit higher than what we were ever
Yeah, I saw.
anticipating. We thought this was going to be somewhere around a $250,000 to $300,000 project. It ended up, the low bid was like $580,000. And those numbers had just creeped up. So in talking to the various administrators involved, it was decided, no, that doesn't make sense right now. Let's put it on the back burner. It's something we do want to do. Maybe prices will correct on construction a year from now. So you have bid tabulation, turn right around. The next resolution is to reject everything, is the recommendation. And then finally, the financial reports. And I sent you an update on that. There's nothing really too exciting on a May financial report. When you do a May financial forecast, if it's wrong, you didn't do a very good job because you know the answers at that point in time. So we're working diligently on getting the year closed right now. We're kind of right in the middle of that process. Probably got about another 10, 12 days to go and getting to where we really want to be with everything. And it'll take that amount of time for certain things to come in, including payroll. So I'd entertain any questions you might have.
I'll make the motion. Accept the
I have a motion from Mr. Isgro to accept the treasurer's report and the adjoining items.
Second.
Second by Mr. Davidson. Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Davidson.
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes. Our next board meeting, regular board meeting, will be on June 24th at 6:30. We'll have the work session starting around 5:30 that evening. And if I may have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you.